Hey everybody, welcome back to my recording of the fall 2021 EX370 exam or midterm walkthrough. We're picking up where we left off with question number 3, assembling and linking. The main idea of this question is to assess your knowledge of how the linker works, and so the way we do that is by having you compile a symbol table and a relocation table by hand. But yeah, the way I like to approach these questions is just kind of working through, in this case, we have 2 example programs, just like top down. And it's generally easier to start with symbol table because you can see what variables or what functions need to be assessed. So we're going to start from the very top with main.c. All right, so first we see this integer sol. It's going to be a globally accessible variable, and so another program might want to access it, and so this is something that's going to need to go in the symbol table, and it's going to belong in the data segment. Very similarly, we're going to see this C string or just character pointer. That's also going to belong in data. We also have a function declaration, so this is going to probably go in the text segment. But we'll see like a definition for it like lower on. We just want to make sure that this only goes in the symbol table once. Then we see a bunch of externs. So these are bits of code or variables that aren't present within this particular file, but it's implied that once the program is linked together, these variables or functions will be present. And so for now, they're going to go in our symbol table as unknown. The define should not go in the symbol table because this is just a compiler directive, and it's not actually something that it's not actually a variable. It's just something that the compiler goes through and replaces all the values with. All right, so we also are int main, right? This is a declaration as well as a definition. So this is also going to text. It's just important to know that if there was like a declaration up top, we wouldn't want to include main twice. We'd only want a unique representation. But like, for example, for int exam down here, while this does belong in the text segment, because I already have a declaration up here, I only need to include it once. The other thing that I see is here we have a static variable. So static variables essentially act like globals. They just tend to be accessible within the scope of the function that's being called. And this is just kind of like a C semantic, but really they act like global labels. And so this is going to also go in the data segment. The last thing I see is it looks like we are accessing this function string copy from the string library. And this is going to kind of act like an extern. And so we need a link. We don't know where exactly string copy is in our linked and assembled file. And so this is also going to need to go in as an unknown because we don't know where that is. Awesome. So that does it for main.c. We can quickly go ahead and fill that out. So let's see if I can remember to the best of my ability. I believe it was message. And that was in data because it was just that C string. We also had exam. That was in text. That was the function that we had the declaration for. And then I think we had solution, which was a function, but it was externed. We had total count, which is also externed. We also had exam score. that was also externed. And then we had our main function declared that belongs in text. We had our variable x, which is a static variable, but it'll belong in data. And then last we had our string copy function call, which is unknown. It's kind of like an extern. All right. So then we can look at the e370.c, walk through very similarly. So here we have an externed variable, and then we have a local variable. So that's going to go in data. Another local global label. It's going to go in data. Also going to go in data. Here we have a function declaration, so that's going to go in text. So again, remember, if we look, we have a function declaration there, and then we have the definition here. So we're only going to want to include that once. Right. And we probably want our function definition for solution also. But that should be all for this one, I believe. We call any functions. Nope, that should be all. Awesome. So we can go ahead and translate that. So, so answer key was unknown. We had exam score. That was a local data variable. We had total count. That was a data variable. We had flag, and then we had functions. So we had flag, that was data, and we also had accuracy and solution as functions. And those would both be functions, so they belong in text. Yeah. So now we've constructed our symbol tables. Now what we need to do with relocation tables is because these global labels are going to move around. And in the case of like branch instructions, if we have a branch to a global function, those haven't resolved yet, right? I don't know where they are. And so I need to fix those branching instructions. And so we're going to want to kind of like reference our list or of our symbol table. And whenever we use any of these things in the symbol table, we're going to want to add their utilizations to the relocation table. So it looks like it starts us off on line 12 with a store on Sol. So it's probably nothing above that, but yeah, awesome. So it looks like, so the reason we have the Sol is because Sol is a global variable. It'll get moved around potentially when we're linking, and so we have to fix the offset there. Additionally, it looks like on that same line, we're calling the function solution. So this function solution is a externed function, and so we don't know where it is, and it hasn't resolved. And so we're going to want a sort of branch instruction. 12 L to that function, right? Once it's resolved with a symbol table. Let's continue looking. So exam is a local function here, so we don't really need to worry about. So we don't need to worry about that function call because it's a local function. Then we have the declaration, right? So that should be fine. We're not really doing anything there. Okay, so here we are assigning something to that global or static variable. And so that's something that needs to go in the relocation table. Also, if you look here, we are reading the value of Sol, right? So we're going to be loading that. And so that's also something, because Sol is a global variable, we're going to need to resolve. And so what line was that? That was line 15. We are going to have both a stir into variable x because I'm reassigning it. And I'm also going to have a elder into variable sol because I'm reading it. Awesome. So then we declare variable y. That's a local variable. That's fine. Score is also a local variable, so we don't need to worry about that one. And then we have the string copy. So string copy is a branch to something that the global function or something that has been resolved locally. And so that's something that we need to do. The arguments for it, right? Before I pass in arguments, I need to be able to read those arguments. And so y is a local variable, so we don't have to worry about it. But message here is a global variable. And so that's something that we're going to need to read before we pass to the function. So we're going to have a load instruction there. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to have, what line number was that? That was line 18. So on line 18, we're going to have two entries, right? We're going to have the first one for the string copy. And then we're going to have a load because we are loading our message in. Awesome. Then we have, that's all for that main function. Then in the exam, we have the first line, we have local variables, so we don't have to worry about that. And then here we're accessing total count. So that's a global variable that's extern. So that's definitely loading that is definitely something that needs to go in the symbol table, and that's going to occur on line 24. And we are loading total count. Awesome. And then on line 25, let's see. So exam average is a local variable, but this exam score array is not. And so we're also going to need to have to fix our offsets for that. And so we can put in, because we're just reading the value, it's going to be elder on line 25. And this thing's really filling up. And what we were accessing was, it was exam something. I'm not exactly sure. Exam score. Cool. And then that's all for there. And then it looks like on this line, local variable, but here we're accessing a global variable. And so we're also going to need to load in there or fix the offset there. And so that's the last spot for it. Shoot, what line number was that? 28. Going to fix the offset there. So that's all for that relocation table. Then for the relocation table for the X370 file, start right here. So we read total count in. So that's going to probably be the first entry. Yep, they actually gave us that. So then exam score is this global array. So before we read into it, you need to fix its offset. Answer key is also a undefined global array. And so we're going to need to fix both of those. So let's go ahead and do that. That was on line 11. Awesome. So now, how about the accuracy function? So accuracy is a local function, so don't really need to worry too much about linking or fixing any offsets because all of branch instructions are relatives. And so as long as we're sticking within the same file, that should be fine. But here at the end, we are returning flags. So flag is a global variable. And so we're going to want to load that, right? And so that happens on line 13. Awesome. So that's all for that function. Then let's look at the accuracy function. So both predicted and actual are local variables, or they're passed in as arguments, so we don't really have to worry about those. But flag in both of these places is going to be a global variable that we're accessing. And we're going to be storing to them, right? So on lines 19 and 21, we're going to have strs. And we're going to be storing to the label flag. Awesome. So I believe that's all we should have for this question. Let me really quickly check over it. But yeah, that's all there is to this question. We should be all set here. All right. Well, I hope you found that educational. Next time, we're going to be looking at question 4 and talking about callee saving. And so if you're interested, hopefully you check out that one. That's all I got for you.